Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of Good Guys Sports. Right now, I'm joined by myself, Blake Goerke, Jackson Goerke, and Mike Roby, per usual. And we might have a couple of special guests filtering in here on the show a bit later, so do stay tuned for that. But lots of different sports topics to cover this week, including a big golf tournament and some big playoff matchups that we have to look forward to here in April and May. But I think we got to start with a recap of the happenings at Augusta National last week. Obviously, we did a big preview of the Masters on our show last week, and the tournament did not disappoint, did it, in terms of entertainment, quality golf, big names, big stars. We certainly had it all at Augusta last weekend, and obviously, the big story coming out of the Masters was the completion of the career Grand Slam for Mr. Rory McIlroy. So I know a lot of golf fans, a lot of fans of sports in general, were rooting for McIlroy to complete his career Grand Slam. And obviously, going from Thursday to Sunday, there was certainly a lot of ups and downs in terms of McIlroy's play, where it seemed like he won and lost the Masters this year at about five different occasions during the whole weekend. But that's kind of been the way that McIlroy has played the past decade in terms of obviously he hasn't won a major in a little over a decade, right? So this being his first in quite some time to complete the career Grand Slam. So certainly a action-packed Masters, and I think ultimately for golf fans it was rewarding and fulfilling to see McIlroy finally break his duck and put on the green jacket. I myself included in terms of the being happy with the end result and obviously being entertained with the way that it happened. But Jack, I'll start with you. What was your reaction watching the Masters and seeing the ups and downs from McIlroy on the weekend, and then coming to the end point where he's the one with the green jacket? What was your reaction to that?
Man, this is like one of the golf tournaments that I have ever seen for my entire life. You're talking about a roller coaster ride of emotion, the drama that builds up with the intensity of how a golf tournament can really all change things. Where you had Rory McIlroy with a two-shot lead entering in Sunday, where all of a sudden things have took a turn and really have slipped away. Where I thought at first it was his tournament to lose. Next thing you know, that Bryce DeChambeau just ties it up and took the lead, and next thing you know, that McIlroy's lead has been gone, and thought he was going to lose this thing, and then two holes later, I believe it was on the 15th, that he set up a great shot by the hole for at least more than like 20 or 30 feet away, and then that is where things really shifted, and really, and then really, when I look at it is that how I noticed that of uh, of how you can see of how a momentum and the change can really swing for how much of a excitement finish of a golf tournament that I will probably ever see ever see in my entire life to that I can remember, that I probably won't ever see again in my lifetime for many years to come. That it was one of the most craziest golf finishes you will ever see, where it was in the 16th or 17th, where McIlroy regains the lead by one shot and set up for this, and I believe it was in the 15th, where he set up for a for a eagle. He did not make it, but settled for a birdie, where he had a one shot swing, and then and then it was him and Justin Rose were going neck to neck, where he was heading into the 18th green, where the crowd all settled in and they were just gathering around, and then they were just waiting to see if his putt was going to go in, and then and then everybody was just watching and gathering around and just watching to see if the ball was gonna was going to go in the hole, and they were all chanting and yelling for the ball to get in the hole, and the next thing you know, the ball got in, and just they all got so lucky, and then they just knew that it was going to go in, and it did, and all of a sudden we find ourselves and then all of a sudden it was find ourselves tied again, and then once McElroy hits his shot at the 18th green, that his ball finds himself in the sand of the bunker and ends up going to the bunker and hits the shot, and the crowd was just wanting to do everything they can, and they set it up, and realizing that he thought it was enough to for him to close out the Masters golf tournament, but realizing that his ball was only like 10 or 20 feet away or so, that once he was settling um for this big critical shot for all the marbles for this game winning critical putt that was right there, that he thought it was going to be very close to how he worked hard for it, on how he realized that it was there, that it was his golf tournament to win, and thought was going to be able to close it out,
Let me ask.
and then realizing on how it was there, that McAvoy thought he had it at the 18th, but it actually slipped a little to the right,
Yeah.
and that's when I realized that we were going to have free golf heading into a playoff.
Yep.
The last time that happened was back in 2017, where it was also where it was also included with Justin Rose playing in it. Ended up getting defeated by Sergio Garcia that
Hmm.
year, and then and then so now he finds himself in a playoff again, only this time with Rory McIlroy. So in the 18th, Justin Rose was up first. He hit the ball um, on the 18th green. His putt was about a little bit about I say about 40 to 45 feet away from the hole, versus McIlroy when he hit a shot in the
Great shot, wasn't it?
playoff.
Yeah.
Yes, oh yeah. So he hit his shot at the playoff hole for about I say about he was like 10 or 20 feet away from his putt. Justin Rose for his putt to hit the putt where he's got to make it, and in critical moments at the right place at the right time, that his ball just kind of barely missed the hole and just slipped away. The entire crowd was there watching it, gathering around the 18th. But then once Rory McIlroy hit hit the ball very close to the hole, the crowd was just cheering them on and just thought it was going to miss or going to go in. But then next thing you know, his putt finally goes in, and
Yep.
after all these years later, after all these 11 years later, and his for his 11th try, that McIlroy has finally won the career Grand Slam. Blake,
Yeah.
certainly a great feeling after all this after all this longest golf highlight breakdown I have for you on Good Guy Sports.
Yeah. Yeah. That was very, very in depth.
That was worth the wait. For him to complete his career for his sixth career major Grand Slam,
Yep.
joining Tiger Woods in the 2000 Open, the last player to do it.
It's been a
Doesn't
while.
get,
Yeah.
I know, doesn't hasn't happened in a very long time, Blake. Certainly got to feel good after all these years later, doesn't it, Blake?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Jackson, I want to bring in one of our special guests has joined us. Want to introduce Joe Cherof to the show. Jackson, one of your oldest friends who was in attendance at the 2025 Masters. So, Joe, thanks for being on.
Thanks for
Obviously,
having me.
Jack just gave us a pretty in-depth breakdown there of McIlroy's fourth round. But wanted to get your input, obviously being there, maybe your experience, what days you were there, and anything that stood out to you from the round.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, Jack. Good to see you, man.
Good, good,
Um,
good to see you too, Joe.
I've been doing my homework and watching some past episodes. So, Uncle Mike, it's a pleasure to meet you. You're a celebrity on here. And Blake, good to see you as well. So yes, I was there on Sunday. I've actually had the pleasure of going to the last four Sundays. We've had tickets in our family for a long time. My grandpa, on my mom's side, was a big fan of the Masters. He went for over six. He started going in 1954, and he didn't miss a Masters until he was in his 90s. Um, so that being said, Saturday or Sunday was an unbelievable day. The most energy I've seen at Augusta National since the Tiger days. And everyone was really locked into that final pairing of DeChambeau and Rory. I know Jack probably just gave you the rundown of hole by hole, but it
Yeah,
was a day of ups and downs. It started out where DeChambeau tied it up, eventually took the lead, and then by the time they reached Amen Corner, I looked at my brother who was there with me, and I told him, I hope the whole back nine is just a coronation for Rory that because it didn't look like it was going to be close. He had a four-shot lead, and I was just like, you know what, let him run away with it. Normally, I'd hope for the drama, but like give this guy a break. Let him just run away with it. Just get applause and cheers and everyone chanting Rory for the next seven holes. That did not happen, obviously. And it was crazy. I mean, as you said, he's now, uh, at Augusta, they say, or in golf in general, right? They say drive for show and putt for dough. He actually was second in driving and second in putting for the weekend. So he did both. The iron play and the wedge game wasn't necessarily there, but he made up for it with putting and driving. Pretty interesting. He finished second in putting, even with so many short putts missed on Sunday. So just overall a crazy week. Um, but yeah, looking forward to talking about it. It was an incredible experience. I feel very lucky to have been able to go. I'm unfortunately wearing a sweater, but I do have my Masters shirt on.
Nice.
nice,
Um,
nice.
I saw y'all had your shirts on and hats on
Oh yeah.
last week.
The
So
gear is a big
Oh
part of it,
yeah,
isn't it?
oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious as
We're
well.
over
So, like
that.
for the in-person atmosphere there, I'm sure like as the round was progressing, like what was kind of the vibe around Rory and like people following him, kind of because obviously he had that poor start in the on his first hole. So was it like more like tense, nervous kind of around Rory, or it was kind of
yeah,
like exciting, kind of swelling up to it, right?
I'll be honest. Like I was very curious to see because DeChambeau's been very popular lately. Has the whole YouTube golf crowd and the younger generation behind him. So I was curious to see who where the cheers would be mainly. And honestly, to start, it was maybe 60-40 Rory to Bryson. And it was, we thought we were going to get a one-on-one battle there. And, as Rory started pulling away and DeChambeau kept making bogeys, that Bryson crowd really just became a Rory crowd. And on Sunday, you kind of have to decide, like, am I going to follow this final group and just scratch and claw every hole to try and get a view of every shot? Or am I just going to post up on a hole, sit on 16 and wait for them to come through. So we were scratching and clawing. We were going along with them, and I mean it was just all Rory. I was actually scared at the end because we invested our whole day into following Rory. I was like, if Justin Rose wins this golf tournament, he's gonna win, and I have not seen him hit a single shot today.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't get the full spectrum. You just see leaderboards updating. You don't have Jim Nance telling you a beautiful story when you're there. So it's all just word of
Right,
mouth.
right.
You start hearing that he's making a run, and then I caught Rose on 17, missing his putt that he ended up bogeying that hole. But other than that, I didn't see him all day.
Yeah, and then from the the last playoff hole as well. Obviously, it was a bit of a disappointment in terms of McIlroy not finishing it on his last shot on 18. But I think when I saw watching that I was impressed by was I think, and probably from the full round as well from McIlroy. And I don't know if it came off in person as well, but he wasn't, it seemed like he wasn't letting the emotions get to his head in terms of keeping himself super calm, even coming off of a bad shot or not making a par, because he went straight into that playoff hole and he was pretty locked in. Obviously, his
Yeah.
shot on the green was pretty evident of that.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievably locked in. It was nice to hear some interviews afterwards where he seemed a little bit more human, where he was like, "Yeah, I was super nervous," but he definitely didn't show it. There's been a lot of talk about, his mentality going into it. I know Bryson made a comment about like he didn't talk to me all day.
Right. Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that. Like
Yeah.
I mean, there's stories of um, like Tiger and VJ back in the day, where Tiger, says hi on the first tee, and VJ just says Titleist three, and then just puts his head down and just keeps going.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like that mentality, honestly. Bryson was playing head games, trying to get the crowd involved, and I thought Rory did the same thing, and it got to Bryson, I think. So mental toughness. I mean, Rory, I can't imagine ending your round with that. He kissed his wife and so, and his
Right. Yeah.
kid.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, to do that, walk down that long parade of people, which should have been his, big moment, to walk down that same thing, have to reset, go back to the first tee and do it all over again, showed a ton of mental toughness. So yeah, I don't know how he did it. I did hear that his caddy, Harry Diamond, made a comment to him before they went back out for the playoff hole, that said, and he said like, "Hey, we would have taken this on Thursday or Monday, whatever he said." He's like, if I told you at the beginning of the week we have a playoff hole against Justin Rose to win the Masters, we would take it. So I think Rory said that was a good reset button for him, because it's true, he would have taken that in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Mike, I'll bring you in on this Masters recap. Were you impressed? I'm sure you must have been impressed with McIlroy's play in terms of wasn't part of your three golfers that I'll get to in a second that we predicted last week, but as the round was going on, were you starting to root more and more for McIlroy as well?
Oh, absolutely. I don't see how you could not. I mean, I almost picked him but but talk about a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I think they mentioned on the TV, he's the first Masters champion to have four bogeys,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
doubles.
Or double bogeys even, yeah.
Yeah.
double
Yeah, yeah.
bogeys. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I
It's
meant.
crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he also led the Masters this time around in the number of eagles. He had three eagles.
So
So talk
it's
about,
definition of highs and lows, right? Yeah.
yeah, talk about just the ups and downs. I mean, what a, I think what really did it was, Friday and Saturday when he shot back to back 66.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I mean, kudos to him, for keeping it together and going in. And that was just a phenomenal shot to the green in the playoff hole. I mean, that's what did it for him. But, kudos to him. And, just seemed like Rose was coming out of nowhere to catch up with him. And then there was a couple of other ones that were, right up there at one point. Aberg came up, but he ended up bogeying the 17th and then double bogeying the 18th, to drop three strokes right at the very end. But
That was
yeah,
tough.
it was definitely must watch TV. I thoroughly enjoyed that last round.
Well,
Jack, what was your setup? Where were you watching?
Oh, I was watching it here in the house on the couch with my family. I was definitely watching the broadcast on TV, the final round, and yeah, we were all just stayed locked in, watching it on the TV together, and we were just like all of us did, and we were just watching it to see unfold, and yeah, it was for like 5 hours to be exact. So yeah, it was
Lots of
just
golf.
Oh
Nothing
yeah.
better. Nothing
No,
better.
So
doesn't
how
get better
many
than that.
pimento sandwiches did you eat,
Oh,
Jack?
so much pimento.
Oh, we had a lot.
Probably two pimentos. I mean, I started the day egg salad.
Yeah.
Then you move into, the pulled pork or the ham and cheese on rye. One of the, I consider it a pro move, but if you take the pimento and you get a pulled pork, dump the pimento onto the pulled
Ooh,
pork,
yeah, yeah.
put the other bun back on, then
Just
you
like
have
being
a
at Chick-fil-A.
exactly.
So is your favorite
Um,
food item the pimento or the pulled pork, you think, Joe?
that's a good one. But the thing is, like, you're walking so much that thing, I can kind of slow you down. You gotta have
Yeah,
some
yeah.
time to recover from that. Honestly, I'm a big ham and cheese on rye guy. It might not be a popular opinion, but
Nice.
Right.
they already put like the mayo or mustard on there, so it's just ready to go
Yeah.
out of the bag.
Yeah.
But and then just pack your pockets full of all the different snacks. So we had like peanuts and popcorn and all those snacks throughout the day.
Joe, I
Um,
heard there was I heard there was an ice cream sandwich this year that was kind of special. What was that? Did you try it?
yeah, so that's the peach ice cream sandwich. Is that what we're talking about?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, I have seen that the last couple years, but um, I actually didn't have one this year, but I have had one. I mean, they're delicious. It's similar to the I mean, similar to the pulled pork. You got to be like prepared to walk 20,000 steps after eating an ice cream sandwich. So you got to be a little strategic with
Yeah.
it. But yeah, no, all the food options are incredible. And then by the end, I mean, you don't want to miss a shot. So honestly, by the end, I was just looking for waters. And I think everyone around the 18th green, waiting for them to come through and then waiting for them to go back to the first tee. I made a quick run to the concessions and got like 8 waters and just started handing them out around me because all of us were just parched by the end of the day.
Yeah, no, definitely the whole Augusta National experience with the uniqueness of the course and the experience and the concessions and the fact that it's so affordable and like all these unique traditions and stuff. We've talked about it on the show before, but yeah, definitely one of the most unique sporting events, across all of sports, I would say. I'm sure you probably would agree with that, Joe, in terms of comparing it to other events, sporting events that you've been to.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the best golfers in the world, on the best course in the world. Maybe I'm a little biased being from Georgia. But I mean, it is definitely the most special place to me in the world. It just feels like Disneyland. So you really can't beat it. And maybe I'm interested in what y'all think. I think it looked especially good this year. Like the
Yeah.
way the cut on the bunkers, the trim, the water lead or sorry, grass leading straight up to the water. I mean, I just thought it was maybe a little greener and just a little more beautiful this year.
With the one caveat on Sunday, they wanted to slow them down, so it looks like they dried those greens out. They were getting a little brown tint on TV. I
Yeah,
think trying to drop those scores a little bit.
yeah. Well, they did it. It worked.
Yeah.
Everyone came off the course talking about how firm they were. Um,
I was looking for the groundhog to come up, but I didn't see him.
Saving him
you
for
know,
next year, yeah.
I will say one thing that they kind of hid on TV, because I went back and watched it. Uh, the storm that came through last year did have an effect there. I think I think we were on 13, and you could see through the trees and see one of the holes of Augusta Country Club, which I had never seen before. So I think a lot of the dying trees there had fallen. Like they lost a lot of trees.
Yeah.
There was, I know on 10 they were saying there's maybe some shots that weren't there in the past, but it was thinner trees than in previous years. So that storm definitely did have an effect.
Yeah.
Joe, I think it was this year where they backed up the 18th tee. Am I getting that right? Was it this year they backed it up by, I think, like 20 or 40 yards? Is that right? The tee box?
I didn't notice a different. I mean, it is back there. I don't know. I didn't see. It didn't feel like a different tee box to me. But they do everything so subtly that you
Yeah, they
can't
make the
really
small
tell.
adjustments here and there, yeah.
The
Yeah,
crazy story. I think it's the 18th that sits so much under trees and bushes and all that you just can't grow grass there naturally. So what they
yeah.
had to
Oh,
do was
11,
put in
11.
11 that they
Yeah,
literally had to put in like all sorts of underground ventilation systems like to dry it
yeah,
out, keep it moist. and only at Augusta can they grow grass in a completely ungrowable spot. And it just shows
Yeah.
how much they put into this, you know. And then the tennis balls on the mowers. Have y'all heard about the tennis balls on the mowers and the situation with this?
No, no. What's that about?
So when they do the flying V, so they have enough mowers where they don't go back down the fairway. They just go one way, and then they'll come do the rough, but they don't zigzag any. They have enough to cover the entire fairway, and they all have a tennis ball hanging from their mower. And the point is, if an hydraulic hose busts loose, if you see it, you take your tennis ball off your mower and throw it in front of the other mower where their hose came loose because that hydraulic fluid will burn the grass immediately. And it happened a few years ago,
Oh well.
and he was able to make it 40 feet. And at like a 2 inch wide drip, he burned the grass for 40 feet. And they said that they were teeing off when it happened, or by the time they were trying to fix it. And the grounds crew was so insane that they were able to bring in, they cut it out, the 2 inch wide strip of 40 feet and brought in turf and did all the routine, were able to get that turf set down while they were teeing off on one. And so the crowd was cheering louder for the grounds crew than they were for the golfers. It's a testament to Augusta National. It's just something special to be around.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Jack, another special thing about Augusta National and the Masters tournament is the Champions Dinner. Blake, I know you have a great itinerary here, but I did want to throw a question out there.
Go for it. Yeah.
What would your Champions Dinner menu be?
Ooh, great question. Jackson, why don't you
Well,
start?
well, we talked about this on our show last week, and
Oh, dang it.
Well, we didn't
yeah,
get too much into it, did we? No. So you mentioned you were talking about what the other golfers had, but we didn't get to know
Uh,
if you won the Masters, what would your champions dinner
yeah,
be?
yeah.
well, for my team's dinner,
Yeah,
you're talking about me.
that's
I'm
right.
talking
Yeah.
about you.
Jack the golfer, yeah.
Oh yeah, well, let's let's make it very simple. I think it should be a cooked, well done steak with some potatoes,
Ooh,
and make things a bit more fancy. Have some
no red at
asparagus.
all.
No red at all. No red at all. No red at all.
Fair enough. I'm not sure everyone would like that, but as long as it's as you would like it, I guess. So a classic sort of
I'm okay with that.
steakhouse sort of steak, mashed potatoes, asparagus kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
I know.
And what?
I think Scheffler went for like more of like a traditional kind of like sliders and like barbecue kind of thing. Is that right?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah, yeah.
What about
Uh,
for dessert, Jack?
For desserts, we are going to go. We are going to go with a. We are going to go with a key lime pie.
Nice.
ooh, okay. The classics.
Nice.
That's
Also wanted to pick y'all's brain about this. I haven't tuned into any other episodes where y'all talk about live golf, but I am curious what y'all think about live golf. I have a stat here. Three of the captains on live golf: Dustin Johnson, Cam Smith, and Brooks Koepka. I'll go down the line here. Dustin Johnson, a Masters champion, I think 2020, missed the cut in four of the last six majors. And in the other two, he was outside of the top 30. Cam Smith, he had a top 10 in 2024, and that was right after he switched to live. And since then, he was 63rd at the PGA, 32nd at the US Open, miscut at the Open Championship, and miscut this weekend at the Masters. DJ also missed the cut this weekend. And Koepka has been outside the top 25 in the last six majors. So I'm curious, do y'all think that these live golfers, I think Bryson's maybe the exception, but do you think they're getting enough competition there to hang with the PGA guys when it comes to these majors? I think right after they switch, they still kind of have that effect, and they're really,
hmm
contenders. But it's, between DJ, Cam Smith, and Koepka, I mean, there's two, five, like eight major championships there,
Yeah.
and they've done nothing in the last six majors.
Yeah, no, I think the point that you made there at the end is a very good one. Is that I think the initial switch that we saw when all these great golfers went from PGA to Live in the next round of majors, we didn't see maybe a huge drop off like you mentioned, but
Yeah.
I personally do agree with you. I think over time, the lack of top level competition that you would get in the PGA not being there on the Live, I think that does over time affect you probably mentally and physically once you're jumping into the four majors per year. So yeah, I think definitely that long-term effect is certainly a thing. I don't know, Mike, do you agree with that?
So I don't know much about the Live, but I did hear that on a lot of their tournaments they only play like 3 days, so they
Hmm.
play less holes. So if they're only
Yeah.
playing 3 days, where on the PGA Tour, all the tournaments are 4 days.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know,
look at Bryson on Sunday
you
after
look,
54 holes.
yeah. I mean, so if they're only playing 54
Just,
holes,
yeah, it could just be a pure
I think
numbers
that
thing, right?
you
Yeah.
know that fourth day that separates the champs from the also runs.
Yeah, for sure. I think once we have that larger sample size in terms of live performance in majors versus PGA performance of majors until we get that whatever that merger is going to be in terms of them playing in the same tournaments. Yeah, I think certainly over time, if the PGA is playing more golf at a higher level, then I would expect the PGA players to perform better in the time being. So yeah, definitely interesting to track that going forward.
Yeah, I think also it's interesting that like the top names in the live, the guys who got paid the most money are the ones that kind of aren't performing. There were still a lot of live guys in the top 20, I think like five of them, but it was like the Daniel Bergers or, the Tyrrell Hatton and those guys who aren't the ones who took hundreds of
They're
million dollars to
they're
go
still
there.
still hungry, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're still hungry. So I thought that was an interesting thing to bring up.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I guess while we're still on the Masters, I should recap the predictions that we did last week. Myself, Jackson, and Mike each picked three golfers to total up the four round totals for the Masters. Unfortunately, Blake was disqualified because he had Tiger on his on his prediction. So I couldn't include you, Blake. I'm sorry. I tried. I could have given you like a DQ for Tiger, but then it would have messed up the scores. So I have
I was
the
going to see if Jackson was on his toes when I sent him that prediction.
yeah, no, you were yeah, it was a good test for sure, but so the let's see, the three scores I came in third with the bronze medal. I had Morikawa, Aberg and Lowry who ended up letting me down. So I was a 859 total for my three golfers.
Yeah, Lowry had a 81 in
I
the
was gonna
fourth
say,
round.
yeah, he started off really well. He was up there on the leaderboard, and I was getting pretty excited after the first couple rounds. But like you said, Mike, he kind of
Yeah,
fell off the cliff.
it was not a live tournament.
Exactly, yeah. So he finished 292 over 4 days. So I was in third. Coming in second was Mike at 846 total with Scheffler, Aberg, and Homa. So both having Aberg, or I'm yeah pronouncing that right, but he finished six under
Hmm.
in seventh place, so not a bad showing. But I guess he finished runner-up last year, so not able to improve on that this year. And
Yeah.
then first place, congratulations to Jackson for his three golfers. Total of 839 with Scheffler, Aberg, and then of course our winner McIlroy. He was surprisingly the only one of us three that picked McIlroy, but I think the strategy there was to try to pick a golfer who try to find the golfer who was not heavily favored to try and make a run with Mike picking Max Homa and he finished 284. I picked Lowry to kind of make a statement there, and Jackson was consistent with Scheffler, McIlroy, and Aberg. He somewhere to the final four. You pick the number one seeds, and good things will happen. So,
I mean,
congrats, Jack.
those are
Thank you very
three of the
much.
top five.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So,
Jack.
Jack, that was your strategy. Just pick the top guys, and it paid off, right?
That's right. That's right. And it all got played well and got lucky for me. So yeah, I guess it all turned out so well for me.
Well,
I think one of the
congratulations. Yeah.
I think one of the really cool stories that doesn't get talked about much, there's something that, at least that fascinated me, was the amateur that shot a 90 on day one of the worst rounds, and on day two had one of the best rounds. I think he shot, what did he shoot, a 66 day two?
He shot a 90 on it was Nick Dunlap, I believe.
Yep, yep.
He turned pro last year, so he wasn't on the amateur, but came out of Alabama and he shot a 90 on day one. And I think he played with Sergio, or I forget who he played with, maybe Tommy Fleetwood or someone. But they looked at him they told him at the end of the round, like, you earned a lot of respect for finishing that round. He just had the yips that day, and he got a lot of respect from the other guys for finishing the round because normally they would just withdraw. And then came out and shot a 71 the day after.
It's crazy.
They said they had some story about he had his caddy or his coach like go buy 100 balls at Golf Galaxy that he could just hit into the woods when he got back to the house he was staying at, just because he wanted to feel what it was like to like make contact with the ball. He bought 100 balls at the store and hit them into the woods when he got home.
He makes all of us feel human again. What a great story for all of us that like to play.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think overall it was a great Masters. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I think having that storyline of McIlroy chasing that career Grand Slam and the ups and downs that he went through made it definitely one of the better Masters just from a viewing spectacle. I think in the past couple of years. So I think definitely a Masters that will be looked on fondly as the years to come, kind of for that historical aspect with McIlroy for sure. So yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah,
Go ahead, Jack.
yeah. So next up, for the next major of the year for the for the golf major, which we all talks about the Masters. The next golf major up is the PGA Championship from May 15th to the 18th, and this one's going to take place in Blake Lumberger's neighborhood at Quail Hollow Country Club up in Charlotte, just down the road from where Blake Lumberger resides. That he should go to a practice round there and check the place out and scout it out and see what it's like. That it's going to be in his hometown, and all the excitement and vibe is going to be there. That he should go and check it out. And by the way, that is a place where Rory McIlroy has won and has success at for at least 4 times in a row in his career. So yeah,
Nice.
he
Good
knows the
stat,
course
yeah.
there very well, and I think Rory McIlroy is going to and I think the course there will set up very well for Rory McIlroy. And after that, you got the U.S. Open at Oakmont Country Club, which is in Oakmont, Pennsylvania, which is the golf course that has the Pennsylvania Turnpike involved, and in the middle of Pennsylvania there, and then after that, Rory McIlroy gets to go home to his home country at the Open at Royal Portrush Golf Club in Portrush of Northern Ireland, where he's from and where his family is from. So that will be very exciting to look forward to for what the golf majors this year has in store, right?
Hey Jackson, I got a question for you. I love to pin you down because you're the smartest sports anchor I've ever been around. Speaking of Grand Slams, now you have 6 people that have completed the Grand Slam. Out of those 6, 2 of them have completed not 2 but 3 Grand Slams, winning each of the majors 3 times. Name those 2 golfers.
Oh yeah, Tiger Woods in 2000, Ben Hogan 1953. Gene Stordanza in 1935.
No. Jackson, you got it. The two out of those 6 have completed 3 Grand Slams.
Oh,
They've won
You started
everything
off on the
3
right
times.
foot. Yeah, they've won them all 3 times each.
So you got to pick 2 of the 6
You
that
gotta
you think
pick 2
have
of the
won
6.
each one 3 times. Who do you think it is,
And I
Jack?
had to look this up. I did not know this. I was curious if anyone had ever done the Grand Slams twice.
I know that Sky Shepard did it, and Tiger Woods did it.
Or he's saying for of the six Grand Slams, so presumably maybe Jack, it would be Tiger and Jack, maybe?
Yeah, Jack Nicklaus and Tiger
That's right,
Woods.
Blake.
Is
That's
that
right.
right?
Yeah, they've done it each. They've done it 3 times, which is
That's
absolute
crazy, yeah.
mental. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
Don't think we'll see that feat completed anytime soon, honestly. That's yeah, those two are definitely the two legends of the game for sure. It's very impressive.
Jack, that was an awesome rundown for the next majors of the year. What do you think we could be looking at Rory doing an all-time, what's it called when you do a Grand Slam in the same year?
The career Grand Slam for
I
the
think a
golf
career
majors?
is just you have all of them. Maybe it's like a super slam or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Super. Wait. So wait. Yeah. Should I call it
Just
the
call
super,
it a sweep.
There
or
you
should
go,
I
yeah.
call it, or should I call it the Super Golf Slam?
Something like that.
Super Golf
I like
Slam.
that. Yeah, I like
That's
that.
it.
Yeah, I mean,
You think we could be looking at a potential Super Golf Slam this year?
It's possible. It's possible. I know that Quail Hollow Golf Club up in Charlotte sets up very well for Rory McIlroy because he's won 4 in a row there, and
Yeah.
that's the course where our co-host Blake Blomberger resides, and I think he should go to a practice round there and check it out, and then and then Oakmont up there in Oakmont, Pennsylvania, which involves the Pennsylvania Turnpike, where you have the golf course from course 1 and course 2 set up on both sides of the turnpike there in the middle of Pennsylvania there. So that should make things very interesting for Rory to set things up there very well if it all goes planned, and then after that you go across the pond and go to the Open at Royal Portrush. Rory McIlroy returns to his home country, Northern Ireland, at Royal
oh wow,
Portrush Northern Ireland
interesting.
Golf Club, which should be a fascinating homecoming for his fans and his beloved supporters to make the trip up to Northern Ireland. I think would be very special if he were to make it this far, even though it's not until July. But that'll be something to look forward to. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure.
The quadruple crown.
There you go. Yeah, it's definitely interesting that the Open is in his home country. That probably gives him a bit of an edge if the Open being in Northern Ireland for sure. So yeah, could be a multi-major year for Rory. Definitely a golf storyline to keep an eye on. For sure, for sure.
There's a fun slam title. So Tiger has never won all 4 slams in the same season. However, he has won all 4 slams back to back to back to back. But because it was in the middle of a season and went into the beginning of the next season, it's called a Tiger Slam, where
Okay.
you win 4 consecutive,
Just 4
even if they're
consecutive majors.
not,
Yeah.
even if they're not in the same season. Kind of
Interesting.
fun.
Yeah, no, I think all those Tiger stats are just so ridiculous that it's hard to even compare anybody to him. So yeah, I think completing a Tiger Slam, I doubt we'll see that anytime soon as well. But yeah, I think Good Guy Sports will be rooting for Rory for sure to do his own Rory Slam maybe. So we'll have to definitely be tracking that for sure. Well, I think for the last 15 minutes of the show here, Jack, we should probably touch upon a couple other sports topics that we have going on. Because I know we have some playoff matchups in the NBA and the NHL starting soon, right, Jack? So
That's right.
Jack, I'm incredibly uninformed when it comes to NBA and NHL, so I'm gonna bounce out of here. But it was
Good to
great
have you,
seeing
Joe.
you. Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Blake and Mike.
Absolutely. Have to have
Great
you
to
back.
meet y'all as well.
We'll
Great,
talk
great,
Thanks,
some,
Joe.
great to be with you, Joe.
talk some golf later in the year.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
Thanks for
Hopefully-
sharing your firsthand experience.
Yeah,
That
Of
was
course,
wonderful.
Of course.
great,
Yeah,
great.
maybe we can make this a major championship thing. I'm happy to come on.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see you in May.
We'll be here for
Yeah.
you, Joe. May 15th for the 18th PGA Championship. Mark your calendar, Blake. You should make a practice round. We'll be here for you, Joe, on Good Guy Sports. We'll be all over it.
All right, thanks, guys. See you, Jack.
See you, Joe.
Bye.
Bye.
So I think we'll start maybe doing a bit of chat around the NBA playoffs first here, fellas. We have most of the matchups apart from a few of the play-in games coming in, so we can just do a quick overview and any of the matchups that standing out. Feel free to chime in here with the couple minutes we have left. On the Western Conference side, we have the OKC Thunder, who are facing either the winner of the Grizzlies Mavericks playing game. Probably going to be a procession there. And then we have Nuggets Clippers, Lakers Timberwolves. Interesting matchup with LeBron and Luca facing off against Anthony Edwards there in Minnesota. And then Rockets Warriors with Curry taking on the young upstart Houston team. And then on the Eastern side, the Cavs are playing the winner of that playing game, which would be Atlanta and Miami, I think. Probably not going to be any upset there. Indiana, Milwaukee, and then the Knicks, Pistons, and Celtics Magic completing the Eastern Conference. So, any general thoughts, upset picks, teams you've got an eye on for this playoffs from the NBA? I personally think on the Western side, it'll be interesting to see how Curry and LeBron, sort of the last vestige of these older stars, are able to hang on from that perspective. But any NBA thoughts as we go into the postseason here? What do you
So,
think?
Jack, you think
Well,
that Boston will repeat?
well,
Dynasty?
it's possible. They got a chance. They have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So if they got hot and stay healthy, they're going to be hard to beat. But besides from that, you have the Cavaliers who are also red hot. So they're they too are also going to be tough to beat. Pacers Bucks is an interesting one. Knicks versus Pistons. Celtics will take on the Orlando Magic. That will be fascinating to watch. I think the Knicks will probably win game. Will probably win that series. Same what can be said for the Celtics, but I think the Milwaukee Bucks will have the slight edge to beat the Pacers. But the winner of the Cavaliers, whoever faces in that game, that'll be very fascinating to watch. From what I have to keep my eye on, but if I'm looking at the but if I'm looking at the stats here, about a player to watch, I'm looking at Nokia Jokic, the Joker. We
Hmm.
know he lost his coach for the Nuggets, but I would expect
Hope they
he
find him.
stays. Well, I hope he finds a way to stay red hot, and I think that he'll find a way to win. But if you watch that Golden State Los Angeles Clippers game last night, that was a most exciting game of a finish you can ask for, where Golden State had the lead in the closing minutes of the fourth quarter. The LA Clippers and Kawhi Leonard and James Harden tied things up, and Stephen Curry and Stephen Curry, and then all the Warriors big three just did all they could and just couldn't really close it out and just
So do you think, so Jack, let me ask you this then. Do you think we're going to see a surprise in terms of the older established Lakers Warriors coming out of the Western Conference, or are we more so looking at some of these younger teams, i.e. the Thunder and Rockets that don't have the LeBrons or Currys coming out of the West? Or you can Denver as well fall into that older established team category as well. But I'm basically just asking, who do you have coming out of the West? Essentially, is what I'm asking.
I have the Oklahoma City Thunder coming out of the West.
Okay, you're a big one seed guy, I know, right? So,
Yes, absolutely.
and then for the Eastern Conference, are you who do you have coming out of the East then?
This is interesting because I thought about taking the Celtics, but I actually have the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Another one seed.
Yes, I have two
I'm
teams
shocked.
coming out of the East and West, and I have the Cleveland Cavaliers slightly edging out the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference.
You know, Mike, I think
Yeah.
Jackson's new nickname is going to be one seed.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Mr. One Seed.
Mr. One Seed. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, call me whatever. I'm all.
Just don't
I'm all
call
up
me
for it.
Shirley.
There you go. There
All
you
right.
go.
I like it. I like it.
Mike, are you feeling similar to Jack? You think sort of the higher seeds are looking good here?
I think they're looking good. I'm going to deviate a bit. I'm going to share with you my first two upset picks for
Okay.
round one.
I love it.
Pistons beat the Knicks,
Ooh.
Ooh.
and Pistons beat them 3 times in the regular season, twice at MSG. So
Could be
my
a frisky matchup there. I think the Pistons
yeah,
are a bit undervalued this year, no?
yeah, yeah. Then my second upset pick is I'm going with the Warriors over the Rockets.
Okay, okay.
Ooh. All right. Okay. Okay.
I think Curry is gonna put them to bed.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I think it's a funny one, right? Because
Hmm.
obviously a traditional 2-7 matchup, we don't really expect the 7 seed to have much of a chance or in the public betting markets as well.
Hmm.
But it's a bit of a
But the Warriors are a atypical number 7 seed.
exactly,
And don't
exactly.
forget, they got Jimmy Buckets and Draymond Green and Torrin Armstrong and Stephen Curry. Yeah.
Yeah,
If they get in the playoffs, they are red hot
Look
and
out.
in the, at the right place at the right time. So
yeah.
if you're there, and it appears we got our next guest during our show during our show on Good Sports. Please welcome Caroline Goerke.
Yes, yes, just in time, just in time. We are our last couple of minutes here. We're just going over a couple of playoff fun matchups. Starting with the NBA. Jack's all over the number one seeds here with the Thunder and Cavaliers. Mike has given us a couple upset picks with the Warriors over the Rockets and a few other things. But good to have you on the show, Caroline, for sure. Any thoughts on the NBA playoff matchups? Who do you like? Who do you don't like? Upsets or just teams, players that you're looking out for this April and May? Of
Well, just want to say thank you for an invite
course.
after all
Of
these
course,
years,
absolutely, absolutely.
joining the brothers on the bunch, probably only because the Warriors have clinched a playoff spot.
There you
So
go. There you
There
go.
you go.
happy to
There we go.
represent the Bay Area in
So you
that
like their
way.
chances then against the 2 seed Rockets, as Mike agrees that the Warriors are an upset there. But I mean, how do you feel about that matchup?
I mean, we gotta. How many times has Steph been in the playoffs? Him and Draymond and Jack's fave, Jimmy Buckets. You
It's
never know what they could do.
experience versus youth, right?
I just said it. So he's been he's been in the right moment a lot. So there's nothing new with that.
So we're definitely bullish on Golden State. I think the Jimmy Butler trade definitely has revitalized the team. Curry is Curry, but do you think they have enough to get out of the West? And you got the likes of LeBron's Lakers, the OKC Thunder in the way, Jokic and the Nuggets. Are you going to pick them to come out of the West, or you think maybe get past the Rockets but hit a wall after that?
I'm thinking one game at a time.
One game at a time. Fair, fair. Yeah, we got plenty of time. We got the Western Conference semifinals and finals to do. So fair enough. So fair enough. So no full predictions for the West, but definitely got your on the Warriors then. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And then in terms of the Eastern Conference, I mean, me personally, I'm picking similar Jackson to what I was talking about with that experience. I think Boston is going to have too much for most of that conference. So, like Caroline said, we can take it one series at a time. We don't have to rush to any judgments. We can adjust our picks kind of as we see these series plays out. But I'm definitely expecting Boston to be there come May in terms of some of these late series for sure. Um, but as we pivot to the other big playoffs that we have starting this weekend as well, with our last 5 minutes here, Jack, we should touch upon the old Stanley Cup playoffs, huh? The biggest trophy in sports is back up for grabs. And they're going to be playing here in Raleigh as well. But some of the big matchups we have on the Western Conference side, the Jets taking on the Blues, Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche, Vegas taking on Minnesota, and then we have the Kings Oilers as well, making up the Western Conference first round series, all starting this weekend. On the
And
Eastern,
then,
no,
oh
hang
yeah,
on. Eastern
okay.
side, we have the Maple Leafs taking on the Senators, Lightning Panthers. Uncle Mike's Caps are playing Montreal, and then our local Carolina Hurricanes are playing host to the New Jersey Devils. So some interesting matchups for sure. Jack, quickly, any big hockey thoughts you got here as we get into playoff season?
the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. If you want to beat the champions, you got to beat the champions. They are going to be set up with a in-state rivalry, um, with the Panthers and Lightning going right at it. This is going to be a more physical and battle hockey game where those teams going to be probably dislike each other since they're in-state rivals. Going to be some blood going at each other, some exchanges going back and forth.
Warmest game in hockey, yeah.
Oh yeah, the warmest state in hockey and the warmest travel in hockey in all of the Sunshine State for being in that rivalry, which I really am looking forward to watching. And in in that series and in that matchup that that I really have my eye on. But for me,
Jackson, hang on, I have to ask Uncle Mike before we run out of time about the Capitals. Obviously, lots of positive momentum, positive headlines with Ovechkin breaking the goals record. As we go into the playoff season, how confident are you that the Capitals can bring home this cup?
All caps, baby. We're doing it. But one series at a time. You got to beat the Canadians.
Smart. You're not thinking too far ahead, right?
No, no.
Fair
The
enough.
last time the Capitals played the Canadians beat them. So we got to take them down this time.
Mike, was that a Jimmy V quote? A survive in advance?
Well, that's
Something like that, yeah.
Davey Martinez. Go 1-0, baby.
Go 1-0.
There you go. There you go. What about Caroline? Any team you've got your eye on, East or West Stanley Cup playoffs? Couple exciting teams floating around. Anybody you think maybe might surprise a few people?
Well, Jackson's got me scared to even think about going down to Florida with that matchup.
Right.
Jeez, Jack.
yeah, well, I'm all over it, Caroline.
It's going to be a bloodbath for sure. From the I mean,
You're-
it sounds like both teams might not come out of it
You're
from the way
talking
Jack
about
described
Sam
it.
Bennett
Yeah.
and Paul Maurice doing everything they can to make things even more competitive and just try to work things hard for those boys of how they're defending cup of how they're defending champions and how they really like to keep this momentum and this game plan in place for what he has in store for this team. So
Yeah.
I'm with you there, Caroline. You're certainly right about that.
Well, you remember the Panthers last 18 games went 7-10-1.
Not great form coming into the postseason.
The
is
last
it?
two months of the season, the Panthers have just been kind of coasting.
So it's going to be a sort of a rest versus rust situation. You think about Stanley Cup
And those
playoffs.
two teams met last year, and Panthers took it 4-1. I think the Lightning has got something to say this year.
They definitely didn't forget that, did they, Jack?
No, they certainly didn't, Blake. And we all know about this matchup between John Cooper and Steven Stamkos and David Kucherov and those boys, Nikita Kucherov, Brandon Point, and those guys against Sam Bennett and Sam Morantz and Arsenal Bennett for those scoring leaders going head to head. Man, this is going to be a fascinating matchup in the NHL for this in-state rival for the entire state of Florida.
Yeah.
Going to be having their eyes on which side you can cheer on and what side you want to be on, whether it's on the Florida or on the Timbers side, for what side you can choose on, whether it's on the right side or not. This is going to be a very fascinating matchup for what the NHL has to look forward to, probably in all of hockey heading into this Stanley Cup playoffs. But playoffs, is that right, Blake?
Yeah. No, for sure. And I'll have the last word here. I just think personally, I'm very excited for the Hurricane season. Got my T-shirt here. Obviously, I'm repping. I think a lot of the moves they've made have been certainly questioned in terms of the new GM has made some trades, made some moves. But I think speaking here as, a local fan, there's definitely a lot of optimism about the Hurricanes this year. But like Mike mentioned, there's plenty of the Capitals and Panthers, defending Cup champions Panthers, will be tough series for sure to get through. So yeah, I think we're in store for some great Stanley Cup playoff series for sure, and we're definitely going to be updating that as we go along here on Good Guys Sports. But looks like we're out of time, so I gotta wrap things up here. But just want to say a big thanks to both of our special guests that we had. Joe Cherof, obviously giving us the sights and sounds on the ground from the Masters earlier. So big thanks to Joe, and we'll definitely try to have him on again soon to talk a little golf. And definitely thanks to Caroline for popping on here for the last few minutes to give us some of her playoff thoughts. Always great to have her on. And as well, just want to give an update. Be sure to tune in next week for our big 2025 Good Guy Sports mock draft special as we have the NFL draft taking place next weekend in Green Bay. So definitely stay tuned for that one. One of our favorite shows of the year coming up next week. So lots of exciting things happening on Good Guy Sports. So Mike, Jackson, Blake, and Caroline, just want to say thanks everyone and tune in next week.
Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Look, when you're Caroline, you have so many initials behind your name. I can't even get them all on the same screen. I mean,
Exactly.
just humble brag over here. Great to see you,
Exactly.
Caroline.
All right. Thanks,
More
everyone.
like I'm glad to get an invite in with you guys.
That too. That too.
We appreciate it.